absolutely believe in God. Let me tell you why. True story.
They say I act like my mother's son.
That's what they
Mount
said.
Vernon was the streets that I love to run.
Money
Found myself
earning.
on the wrong side of someone's gun.
That was tragic.
Breathing hard, but I made it.
Yep, damn right I believe in God.
Every time I try to get out the game, it's like somebody keeps pulling me back in. They don't want me to leave. Can't leave rap alone, the game needs me. I try to get out this game, it ain't easy. It's what they're telling me, but I don't know because this game is full of jealousy. I can't leave rap alone, the game needs me. I try to get out this game, it ain't easy. It's what they're telling me, but I don't know because this game is full of jealousy. Rap is dead, it's too late to restore its true state. MCs are too fake because truth's the new hate. Where nobody's rhymes are potent for those whose eyes are open. Cause see the game is full of liars and these liar Cohens. Now that's an omen, that means a name sign. How they claim that they woke but sleep the same time. How they claim that they flow but they not impressive. How they claim rap evolved, they ain't no fossil records. But they push that, and so I push back and reminisce about the days when they made good rap. And the beats were fire, had to adjust the volume. Now you gotta mumble or sell a couple thousand. Yup, the game has changed, there ain't no standards. You gotta wear tight jeans and rock a man purse. But I'm killing them up in my street clothes. Second verse, watch, I'll drop the cheat code. Can't leave rap alone, the game needs me. I try to get out this game, it ain't easy. It's what they're telling me, but I don't know because this game is full of jealousy. I can't leave rap alone, the game needs me. I try to get out this game, it ain't easy. It's what they're telling me, but I don't know because this game is full of jealousy. And I don't mean to sound boastful, but when she sings, she make it sound so soulful. So I made an anthem for my corner vest. These verses ain't my single, they're just my warm-up sets. I praise Yahweh on a psaltery. I sacrifice, so don't think that you can alter me. Get a sacrifice, and I said all to me. Misunderstood, they speaking Paul to me. And switch my style from random gun lines to knowledge top with a slight sprinkle of punchlines. And I'm not ashamed, I tell them we don't care. Flow is tight like outfits that Migos wear. And you know that that isn't right. In the dark, what good is a hidden light? And the end is near, so we sent the fishes. And I speak the truth because I know the scriptures. The game needs me. I can't leave the game alone, y'all. The game needs me. They keep pulling me back in. Can't leave rap alone, the game needs me. I try to get out this game, it ain't easy. The game needs me. It really, really needs me.
Abanawa, Shabashamayim, Kwadash, Hayah, Shamka, Yahweh, Malakwatha, Thaba'a, Ratazaka, Hayah, Aisha, Ba'aratazar, Kowa, Hayah, Bashamayim, Lathanawa, Lacham, Kal, Yawam, Wasalachnawa, Khawbwathnawa, Kasalachnawa, Khawbwathinawa, Wala'a, Tabia Anawa, Manasseh 1, Abal, Hawashaynawa, Mayan, Rai, Kaya, Laka, Hamalakwa, Wa'ala, Wa'atapa Araf, La'ai Walamyam, Aman.
All right, y'all. Shalom, shalom. Shalom, y'all. I want to give all honor, glory, and praises to the Most High. Good to be back in the midst of y'all, in the midst of the people, doing what we love to do for the Most High. I just start, by saying that it was a long day for me today, y'all. Real long day. Long to the point where I ain't want to do the class. Long to the point where I almost didn't want to gather tomorrow. Just one of them days, but all praise to the Most High. For my wife, she just told me just relax, just pray. You know what I'm saying? Pray yourself out of it. Praise to the Most High that He release, anything that's, holding me down. So definitely did that, and hey, this is why I'm in front of y'all today. So just give her a shout out for that, for help uplifting me and stuff like that. So all praises. You can go ahead, King.
Shalom. Yeah, definitely understand where you're coming from, brother. Just want to say shalom to everybody and happy Sabbath. And definitely glad to be here with everybody. Um, hey, I'm just ready to roll whenever you're ready to roll, brother, just to follow on. But shalom, everybody. Happy Sabbath.
Okay, come. All right, y'all. So it's gonna be a little bit of reading, quite a bit of reading today. Just kind of going into, as y'all can see, if you don't know what that is, right? The NAAJ, right? It stands for Not All About Judah, right? And like I said, I wanted to create a mini series. It's actually been 6 months since I did the last one. It don't even seem like it, but it's been 6 months. So when I noticed that, I'm like, I definitely got to get back on it. Just bringing out information to show our people, the Northern Kingdom, and how they actually are our people. Because there's doctrines floating around, as it always is, and people trying to say that it's Negro only or whatever the case may be. And the Negro only, if you really break it down, it still equates to 12 tribes. You know what I'm saying? It still equates to 12 tribes. Like at the end of the day, we all come from what? The dust of the ground, right? The digger you deep in the dirt, the darker it gets, right? You pour water on it, the darker it is, right? So that's us. You know what I'm saying? That's literally us. That's the children of Israel. And if you've seen the thumbnail, you can see that like I literally just typed in the chat GPT to create an image of a Cuban standing in front of the Cuban flag, right? And you see the image that pops up. Like I didn't tell that thing to put in, hey, make an image of a black man, a dude. No. If you put in that in chat GPT, that's what it creates. Right? It looks just like a brother to me. You know what I'm saying? So I just want to go into it to show y'all that those people over there, they've been through the same atrocities that we have. So it's not going to be, I should say, anything new or not too much new things. But it's just to reiterate to our people, we got to know who our people is when we go out to the highways and byways. We can't just look at somebody and be like, "Nah, hey, you Esau," right? Now we can kind of tell, so to speak, but even then, you got to be careful, right? It's always best to just ask, because it's gonna be some Edomites out there. They gonna look like full blown Edomites, and you ain't gonna even know that them your people, right? So let's get into it, y'all. Let me share the screen. Entire screen. And let me pull up the blue letter. Right. So just to show y'all, first scripture we grab is Hosea chapter 7 and verse 8. Nope, it didn't pop up. It popped up Hosea 1. All right, so Hosea chapter 7, verse 8.
All right. Just the book of Hosea, chapter 7 and verse 8. Ephraim, he hath mixed himself among the people. Ephraim is a cake not turned.
All right, so this is why we say that, right? This is why we say it's always best to ask. Now, it's going to be your people. You can just tell by their spirit, right? You can look at them in their face, and then you start to talk to them. You can tell by their spirit that, yeah, this is Esau, right? But again, even then, you need to be careful, because again, since they mixed themselves among the people, guess what? They took on their ways. So some of them is going to act just like Esau, right? But it's a chance they may not be, right? So the first thing I want to do is, or the second thing I should say, Salakia, is I want to pull up this article, right? One of the same. Why did that change? There we go. Right, it's one of the same ones that we use that I used for the last one, right? But it's just going into the Cubans this time, right? So it's going to the early colonial period, right? So Mike Allah, you can start right at the first paragraph.
All right. It's the minority rights group, and this paragraph is on the early colonial period. All right. The first enslaved Africans were taken to Cuba in 1513. Many of these first Africans were forced to work in the mines of Cuba as replacements for the rapidly disappearing enslaved indigenous Taino Arawak laborers.
Right, so this is the Taino people, right? Which when you even research it, it equates to right what we will probably equate to Cubans, right? Puerto Ricans, right? Even some Mexicans, right? They came, well, not necessarily came from, but they found them already in the Caribbeans, right? So, of course, they gave, they name everybody, right? Give them names, so on and so forth, right? But that's who this is, right? They saying that this is when we came to work into the mines of Cuba, right? When I say we, I'm speaking of the Southern Kingdom, right? Because I come more than likely from the tribe of Judah, right? So that's what I mean when I say we. So the Southern Kingdom, this is Southern Kingdom coming over, right? But it's something that happened before then, right? But let's just keep going on this portion.
All right. The first large groups of enslaved Africans to work underground entered from 1520 onwards. As in nearby Hispaniola, Salakia.
Okay.
Maroonage started from the very earliest period, namely escaped slaves forming resistant groups.
Mm-hmm.
The first recorded uprising of enslaved Africans in Cuba took place in 1533 at the Jababo mines.
All right, so y'all keep this in mind because this is something that I'm going to pull up later to show y'all this rebellion, right? And why we don't hear about it. So go ahead.
There were frequent uprisings thereafter, with the participants escaping into the mountains and linking with indigenous Taino groups to form independent African maroon settlements called Palinques.
Palenques.
Palinques, okay.
Okay.
On these enclaves, they mounted raids on Spanish settlements.
Mm-hmm.
Mining activities came to an end with the discovery of large supplies of precious metals in nearby Mexico and in South America. However, Cuba remained important for other reasons.
All right, so we're finna get into the reasons it was important, right? So go ahead.
Due to its location on the Windward Passage linking the North Atlantic Ocean and the Caribbean Sea, Cuba became part of the most important trade route in the New World. Gold, silver, and emeralds from Spanish mining centuries in Bolivia, Peru, and Mexico was transshipped to Havana for the final leg of the journey to Spain.
All right, so it was almost like a mid passageway. All right, so it's important just as well as we see the whole thing. What's that thing called? What Trump trying to get open? I can't think of the name of it. Some kind of strait, right? But this is how Cuba was, right? It's like the middleman, the middle person, right? So it's most important, like it says, Cuba became part of the most important trade route in the New World, right? And it's because of this jewelry, right? Gold and silver, so on and so forth, right? These things are worth a whole lot, right? This is why the elders always teach hey, try to invest, get some gold, get some silver, because you'll always be able to use it, right? Whether you melt it down and turn it into something else, right? Whatever the case is, right? This is why a lot of people even have like they'll get them what they call those lock boxes inside the banks, right? They'll put bars of gold inside of those things, right? For a rainy day, so to speak. But let's keep going.
All right. As the capital of Cuba, Havana became a major transshipment point, which reduced local interest in producing sugar in the surrounding countryside. The resulting decline in plantations led to the enslaved African population being used in Havana for very urban occupations. For very urban occupations, these included loading and unloading the ships and working in associated urban activities such as construction, shipbuilders, carpenters, stonemasons, as well as domestic merchants, small shopkeepers, and even itinerant street vendors. And itinerant, yes, I like it, itinerant street vendors. This group would later form the basis for the urban Afro-Cuba population.
Mm-hmm.
Havana also held a monopoly on local trade, having been decreed the only port that could ship goods to Spain.
See that? And this is remember, and on that side of the world, right? The Spaniards, who we know had already took them into slavery, right? The so-called Cubans, the Mexicans, and they just dropped them off in different places, right? So let's keep going. Finish that out.
All right. Havana's prosperity made it an attractive prize for pirates and rival colonial powers throughout the 16th and 17th centuries, but slave imports were limited.
All right, so we're gonna hold that right there. Right, we're gonna go to the scriptures now. We're gonna match this up with the prophecy, right? Some of it. Right. So we're gonna go to Genesis 49. Because we can see what these islands are worth, right? So now let's go to the prophecy. Genesis 49. And start at verse 22.
All right. It's the book of Genesis, chapter 49, and verse 22. Joseph is a fruitful bow, even a fruitful bow by a well whose branches run over the wall.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Archers have sorely grieved him and shot at him and hated him.
Right. This is what the Europeans did, right? When they came over to the Caribbeans, they did that. They literally, we talking about literal, right? They literally shot at them, right? They took over their land. They took over this fruitful bow, right? All of these things that literally was literally near what we can call Havana, called Cuba, right, where our people was. Also in Puerto Rico, right? And it says even a fruitful bow by a well, right? A well has what? Water. This is what surrounded these islands, right? So when it says Joseph, it applies to both, right? A lot of times when we street teaching, when we break down like Ephraim, we'll say Puerto Ricans, and we'll say, what does Puerto Rican mean? It means rich port, right? Well, guess what? This same rich port applies to Manasseh, right? A lot of times we focus on Ephraim because we understand that he had the blessing. And a lot of times in the scriptures mentions Ephraim. You won't see it mentioned like in Hosea, right? As we just went to. Matter of fact, let me pull it back up, right? Just so I can show y'all what I'm talking about. Right. So Hosea 7. Right. So Hosea 7 and 8. I'm gonna read it. It says, Ephraim, he hath mixed himself among the people. Ephraim is a cake not turned. Well, guess what? Ephraim wasn't the only one that mixed themselves with people, right? The so-called Native Americans eventually, right? After they, finally got overtaken, right? The tribe of Reuben, what we call the Seminole Indians, all of them mixed themselves. So when it says Ephraim, it's not just referring, to the forefather Ephraim, right? It's literally everything that came up under him, right? So let's get back to Genesis. Right, so read verse 23 again.
All right. This is the book of Genesis, chapter 49, and verse 23. The archers have sorely grieved him, and shot at him, and hated him. But his bow abode in strength, and the arms of his hands were made strong by the hands of the mighty power of Jacob.
Right, and when we understand that his arms was made strong, right, and this is literally Joseph, right, in Egypt, right, he was made strong, right, he was literally made strong. He was second in command, right, basically running Egypt, right. His hands was made strong. And even when we get to this side, right, they are the ones that was in charge of all of the things that was fruitful from the land, right? Whether it be gold, silver, right, the fruit from the trees, so on and so forth. So his hands was made strong, right? And this was even after the Most High, divorced the Northern Kingdom, right? They were still fruitful, right, after leaving Assyria. But go ahead.
All right, verse 25. Even by the power of thy Father, who shall help thee, and by the Almighty, who shall bless thee with the blessings of heaven above, blessings of the deep that lieth under, blessings of the breast and of the womb.
Right, meaning what? They're going to be fruitful and multiply, right? They're going to have a lot of children. They're going to have all of these different things, right? They're going to have children. They're going to have land. They're going to have things that's worth money, right? They're going to have all these. The Most High has blessed them with these things, right? But again, this is just a blessing. We're going to read a bunch of different ways how the Most High came against them, right? But I'm going to let you finish this out. We're going down to verse 26 is the last one.
All right, verse 26. The blessings of thy father have prevailed above the blessings of my progenitors unto the utmost bound of the everlasting hills. They shall be on the head of Joseph and on the crown of the head of him that was separate from his brother.
Right, because Joseph literally separated Ephraim, right, from Manasseh, because we understand that Manasseh was the older brother, right, and he was originally supposed to get the blessing, but the Most High didn't see it that way. He had Joseph give the blessing unto Ephraim, right? So I want to pull out something. I just got to go back to the StreamYard, actually. All right, I can actually stop sharing my screen. You could jump in at any time too, King. Oh, it's lucky I removed you and not my screen. All right, so I'm gonna pull this up. We're gonna read through this, and we're gonna see some of the things that happen, right? So what we getting ready to read, I'm gonna try. Let me see if I can. I'll do it like that. Move us off for a second. You can still hear me, right? Okay, right. So y'all see the screen, right? What we're getting ready to read is a short account of the destruction of the Indies, right? From, I might butcher this name, right? But Bartholomew de las Casas, right? So this is, matter of fact, I forgot to pull that up too. I'm going to show y'all who he is, so I'm gonna have to share my screen again. Pull up the wiki account. Let me pull that off for 1 second. Pull up the wiki account real quick. Right there. All right. just to show y'all can get a little background of who this guy is, right? So Bartholomew de las Casas, right, was a Spanish lawyer, right? Spanish lawyer, clergyman, and a clergyman, writer, and activist, best known for his work as a historian and a reformer, right? He arrived in Hispaniola as a layman, then became a Dominican friar, right? So he's a Spaniard, right? This guy's a Spaniard, and this is his writings, right? And it's one that said, actually, let me keep going because it'll give you his purpose down here, right? So I'm gonna jump down, right? It says his extensive writings, the most famous being the short account of the destruction of the Indies and Historia de las Indias, chronicle the first decades of the colonization of the Caribbean islands. He described and rallied against the atrocities by the conquistadors against the indigenous peoples. Right, so he's writing this short account of the destruction. This is what the book that we're gonna go into today is, right? And supposedly he was one that didn't. He was young, right? He was young when he was writing this as well, right? He was a young man, maybe in his I say late teens, not early teens, right? In his later teens, he's writing because he see the thing that the conquistadors are doing to these people, right? So he's kind of just writing it down, and he's quote unquote against it, but it's something that sticks out like a sore thumb inside his book, right? And we're gonna get to it. All right, so let me go back, stop sharing my screen, and pull that back up, right? So again, the name of the book is The Short Account of the Destruction of the Indies. Right. So ignore this first paragraph that's highlighted because that's going into the islands of St. John and Jamaica. Right. And it's highlighted because I got this book or maybe 3 weeks ago, something like that, 2 weeks ago. My stepdad, right, he has a bunch of different books, and Lord knows that I don't like reading a bunch of different books. But for whatever reason, I stopped by my mom's house, right? And something told me, hey, just go down there and take a look and see what he got or whatever. And, that's what I did. And I grabbed him and I brought him back, just kind of going through them. And of course, anytime you see something highlighted, you want to you feel like the person might have highlighted because it's important. So you read that first, right? Which it leads me down right here to, as y'all can see, of the Isle of Cuba. Right, so it's going to go into some of the destruction that took place, right? Because we understand what it said in Genesis, that it'd be a fruitful bow, so on and so forth. If you remember when we went into the first article from the Minority Reports group, right? It also said that the African slaves, right, was brought in 15. I think it said 1513, 1522 or something like that, right? Forgive me for kind of butchering that. But we see that they were brought in because they said that they was almost distinct. But here it's going to tell you why, how, and what happened. Right? So can you see that up there?
Con.
All right, Con. So go ahead. You can start at where it says the Isle of Cuba.
All right. In the year of our Lord, 1511, they passed over to Cuba, which contains as much ground in length as there is distance between Valladolid and Rome, well furnished with large and stately province, and very populous, against whom they proceeded with no more humanity and clemency, or indeed to speak truth with greater savageness and brutality. Several memorable transactions worthy observation passed in this island, a certain Cassic, a potent peer named Hafni, not long before fled Hispaniola to Cuba
All right.
for
I'm gonna go to the next one in a minute, but before I do, we're gonna get an understanding when it says a certain Cassock, right? Let's see who this Cassock, what race would he have been, right? So I'm gonna look up the word Cassock and get the meaning, right? His name was Hafni. So just go Cassock meaning, right? I always hate it, right? This the one I want, number 2. Right, read that. Number 2.
I don't see it.
You don't see it? Oh, that's because I'm not sharing my screen. So lucky. My bad, y'all. Gotta be flipping back and forth. It'll be a little better once I'm able to just share my screen straight through. All right, so let's go back. All right, here we go. See it?
Yeah. All right. The meaning of Cassock and number 2, indigenous Taino origin. In the Taino language of the Caribbean, meant tribal chief or leader. The Spanish adopted the term to refer to indigenous leaders in other parts of the Americas.
Mm-hmm.
Notable figures like Hatui, whatever, of Hispaniola were called caciques, symbolizing resistance and cultural leadership.
Right, so this guy was dealing with somebody, right, from the Caribbean, right, who was a leader there, right? Remember, and you know that it's our people because let me go back, take the screen off again. Let me go pull that right back up. Now you know it's our people because it says a certain Cassock right at the bottom, a potent peer named Hafni, who not long before fled Hispaniola to Cuba. All right, let's go to the next page.
For refuge from death or captivity during life, and understanding by certain Indians that the Spaniards intended to steer their course thither, made this oration to all his people assembled together. You are not ignorant that there is a rumor spread abroad among us of the Spaniards' arrival, and are sensible by woeful experience how such and such the Haiti, so they Haiti with their inhabitants have been treated by them, that they designed to visit us with equal intentions of committing such acts as they have hitherto been guilty of.
All right, and we know and we're going to read what those acts are because they're going to get exactly into it. But we know what happened on the island of Haiti. We know what they did to those people, what they're still doing, right, to those people unto this day, right? All of the rape, robs, murders, all of that, right? The same thing came to Cuba as well. Is what this guy is saying, right? What this Spaniard is telling us, right? So let's keep going.
But do you not know the cause and reason of their coming? We are altogether ignorant of it, they replied, but sufficiently satisfied that they are cruelly and wickedly inclined.
Mm-hmm.
Then
And
he said,
Salakia, this is what Hathany is telling Bartholomew, however you pronounce his name. This is what he's telling the Spaniard that's writing this, right? He's telling him this, right? He's saying like, hey, don't you know the reason that they're coming? You know what I'm saying? But he's letting them know that he's heard about what happened in Haiti as well, right? So slacky on that. So keep going.
All right. Then thus he said, they adore a certain covetous deity whose cravings are not to be satisfied by a few moderate offerings, but they may answer its adoration and worship, demand many unreasonable things of us, and use their utmost endeavors to subjugate and afterwards murder us. Then taking up a cask or a cabinet near at hand, full of gold and gems, he proceeded in this manner.
See that? So he's letting them know, like, hey, they they adore a certain covetous deity, right? These Spaniards, right? And they went to the island to just basically rape the land, right? Just put it plain. They went to the island to rape the land. They had taken up a cask or a cabinet, right, full of gold and gems, right? Different types of stones, right? Jewels, so on and so forth, right? So keep going.
Right. Hey, and then you think about it, it's just like what they do, they take over the land and put their false deity in that land and want everybody to worship it.
Yep.
And that's exactly what they did. Like, take your money. Like, hey, same thing with what they did when Nebuchadnezzar came in, took all the cleaned the house and the temple, took all the gold and everything, and then we had to start worshiping the gods out there, man.
Okay. All right. And it's no different.
Okay.
It's no different. But now let's continue to keep reading, and we're going to see what Hathni continues to tell him, right? So go ahead.
All right. This is the Spaniards' God. And in honor of him, if you think well of it, let us celebrate our Arctules.
All
Our,
right.
our
RC
Arcti-
toast.
What is it?
RC toast. Right. And
RC
when you look it up, it goes into them, which we know that the Northern Kingdom also worship other gods, right? But it goes into what do you call it, man? I'm getting brain fart like I'm a brain freeze. What do you call the stars that's in the sky? What's the word for it?
You talking about like the Jupiter and all those
Yeah, it's a word for it.
you talking about like man, like you talking about like those gods. I know what you're talking about. I can't even think of it, brother. It'll
Yeah.
come up with the Greek god. Are you talking about like the Greek gods type?
Yeah, but it's still a name for it.
Yeah,
What you call like the stars and stuff in the sky. Because I'm not going. It's not solar system. It's another word.
not galaxy, is it?
Lie. It's not galaxy. I know it when I hear it.
Okay, con. All right.
But go ahead.
All right. You said arcetos, whatever. All right. Which are certain kinds of dances and caperings used among them. And by this means, his deity being appeased, he will impose his commands on the Spaniards that they shall not for the future molest us. Molest, Salakia. Not for the future molest us, Salakia. Who all anonymously with one consent in a loud tone made us reply.
And
Made this reply.
Salakia Khan, it was constellations. Like the water, yeah,
Stars.
the water elder corral. I know, brother Mike Allah, they put in a chat astrology. That goes, it's the same thing, right? But constellations is the word I was looking for. But that's what that is. They was worshiping it. All right. But keep going.
Well said, well said. And thus they continue skipping and dancing before this cabinet without the least intermission till they were quite tired and grown weary.
All right. So they literally worshiping, right? They send this is an offering that they sending up to the constellations, and they're basically saying, hey, if we do this, maybe they won't come and do anything to us. Right? This is what actually, matter of fact, keep saying it actually says that in the next part.
All right. Then the noble Hathni, reassuming his discourse, said, if we worship this deity till ye be ravished from us, we shall be destroyed. Therefore, I judge it convenient upon mature deliberation that we cast it into the river, which advice was approved of by all without opposition, and the cabinet thrown into the next river.
Right. So he's basically saying, hey, let's just get rid of it. This way, they won't come upon us and they won't do anything. Right. Because I don't want to invoke any thoughts on why he said that. Right. But it could have just been the spirit of the Most High moving, like, hey, get rid of that because I'm coming to send judgment upon y'all, which the judgment came anyway. But either way, right? So let's keep going, right? We got a few more pages in this book.
All right. When the Spaniards first touched this island, this cacique, who was thoroughly acquainted with them, did avoid and shun them as much as in him lay, and defended himself by force of arms wherever he.
Okay, go ahead.
Oh boy, you got me jacked up over here, brother.
I can take over if you want me to.
You get to the hold on. Let me be patient with me. I think I got you, man. I'd rather for you to break it down. All right. It looked like it says he met with them,
Okay.
but at length being taken, he was burnt alive for flying from so unjust and cruel a nation, and endeavoring to, what is that? Secrets? What is that? Section? Secure his life against them, who only thirsted after the blood of himself and his own people.
All right. So now when he finally met with the Spaniards that came over there, this is what they did, right? And they said he did it because he fled, right? He fled from Hispaniola, right? And now they just put him to death. Now, you can't tell me that this is not Deuteronomy 28, right? This is literally what it was. This is Deuteronomy 28 all over the place, right? When he says that he was going to send a nation from far, right, that shall not regard the person of old, nor show favor to the young. It didn't matter, right? They put him to death. Now let's keep going. Let's see what else happened.
Now, being bound to the post in order of his execution, a certain holy monk of the Franciscan order discourse. It's hard to see the tail end of that. Is that a discourse?
Yeah, it's just discoursed, and then that's
discourse with him concerning God and the articles of our faith, which he never heard of before, and which might be satisfactory and
advantageous
to him, considering the small time allowed him by the executioner, promising him eternal glory and repose, if he truly believed them, or otherwise everlasting torments. After that, Hafni had been silently pensive some time. He asked the monk whether the Spaniards also were admitted into heaven.
See that? So he asked this monk, right? He said, hey, are the Spaniards also, can they get into heaven, right? Because this is one of the biggest arguments in Israel, right? Can everybody be saved? Let's see what he said. This is what the monk said, right? So go ahead.
And he answering that the gates of heaven were open to all that were gone. What was that?
All that were Salakia. I got the book upstairs. I thought I got that secure.
Okay, we're gonna just look at say all right. I'm just gonna say whatever.
They all were godly.
Yeah.
Because yeah.
That Ngali, the Kasich replied without further consideration that he would rather go to hell than heaven.
Right, what'd he say?
He'd rather go to hell than heaven.
Right, this is what the brother was saying, right? The Kasich, which would be the Taino tribal leader, he said, hey, with that, hey, like, man, I don't want to be in there. If they coming, why would I want to go?
Okay.
right? Then and it's not knowing, he can't know exactly who he is, right? But again, that's just like before we came into the truth. We didn't know exactly who we was, but we always maintained some type of spirituality that connected us to the Most High, right? Whether it be through prayer, whether it be through the way that we prepare our food, like whatever. You know what I'm saying? We always maintain something, right? Even if we didn't know exactly who he was. And he even had enough sense to know that, hey, these people don't belong in heaven. Right? And this is not without knowing the truth. He's saying this. So what you think our people should do?
Hey, be honest with you, you don't even gotta know the truth to know that they are the most wickedest people, man. You know, just the surroundings and what they do and what they say. You know, like man, this is why the Bible and Deuteronomy 28 speaks for itself. There's no denying. It's like I don't care what you say. You can say that this is not us, and you can't prove nothing that this is not talking about us.
Mm-hmm.
At this point, when you do that, all you're doing is just arguing and you just talking to the wind because you just want to hear yourself. That's all that is. You just like talking because this right here, the history of this is speaking about. Rather, if you can consider that this is talking about the so-called African Americans, you can still see that, hey, just what we went through is the same thing the Northern Kingdom went through. You know what I'm saying? Just different Esau's. That's all. A different Esau, different tribe of Esau's that came in and did what they did, and the same history repeats itself when it came down to the Southern Kingdom. It's nothing new under the sun. That's why we know we the people, man. And
Okay.
he should feel that way, man. We like who would want to be in the kingdom with them? We holding hands with them in rulership, man. They don't even know how to rule as it is anyway. They just know how to destroy. So we have them ruling in the kingdom, man. The heavens will be falling down on us again, man. Giving them a shot to go ahead and rule, man. So nah, I feel them. All right, let me get back with you. All right. So he said that he would rather go to hell than heaven for fear he should cohabit in the same mansion with so sanguinary and a bloody nation. And this God and the Holy Catholic faith are praised and reverenced by his
Yep.
practices of the Spaniards in America.
All right, go ahead.
Once it so happened that the citizens of a famous city, distanced 10 miles from the place where we then resided, came to meet us with splendid retinue and render their visit more honorable, bringing with them delicious, what's that, viands or valens,
Yep, viands.
viands, and such kind of dainties, with as
Great.
great a quantity of fish as they could possibly procure, and distributing them among us. But behold, on a sudden, some wicked devil, possessing the minds of the Spaniards, agitated them with great fury, that I, being present, and without the least pretense or
Occasion.
occasion offered, they cut off in cold blood above 3,000 men.
Mm.
That's so sad, these people, boy.
Right. And this is why he was with them, right? This is why Bartholomew was with them, right? He was basically, you might as well say he was hanging with them, but he was trying to learn, he was learning about him, writing about him, so on and so forth, right? So while he was there, this is what they did. They killed 3,000 men, and what else?
Women and children, promiscuously, such inhumanities. Oh my goodness, dog, this is pissing me off just reading that. Such inhumanities and barbarisms were committed in my sight as no age can parallel.
Right? I can't even compare anything to what I seen with my eyes. Right? They didn't do anything to him, but they killed 3,000 men, women, and children. Right? And you telling me that they don't fit the curses? They not the people? No, they 100% the people, because that's literally what it says, that he would not regard the old nor show favor to the young. It didn't matter. Right, we got a couple more pages. Let's finish this one out.
Man, that's crazy. So even with that, man, they just didn't kill him, man. This was all raping, man.
Okay.
That yeah. All right. Mm. Sometime after I dispatch messengers. Is it one or that's I?
Aye.
Okay. Sometime after I dispatch messengers to all the rulers of the province of Havana, that they would by no means be terrified or seek their refuge by absence and flight, but to meet us, and that I would engage, for they understood my authority, that they should not receive the least of injuries, for the whole country was.
All right, Salakia. So let me pull that up. Why I do that? Okay.
For the whole country was extremely afflicted at the evils and the mischiefs already perpetrated, and this I did with the advice of their captain. As soon as we approached the province, 22 of their noblemen came forth to meet us. From the captain, contrary to his faith given, would have exposed to the flames, alleging that it was expedient they should be put to death, who were at any time capacitated to use any stratagem against us. But with great difficulty and much ado, I snatched them out of the fire.
All right, so he's trying to be a hero, so to speak, right? And he tried to even say that, even if y'all noticed before from the other page, he says that, hey, it's a devil that basically got into the Spaniards and made them do that. All right. No, they are the devil. The devil didn't get into them. They are. They already are. All right. So let's keep going. Let's see what else happens.
All right. These islanders of Cuba, being reduced to the same vestige and misery as the inhabitants of Hispaniola.
Right. So Hispaniola, it's the same thing that happened to the inhabitants of Hispaniola is the same thing that happened to the islanders of Cuba. Right? The islanders of Puerto Rico, right? Jamaica, St. John, all of these different places. It happened. They're the same way. Right? But we're going to keep reading.
All right. Seeing themselves perished and die without any redress, fled to the mountains for shelter. But other desperadoes put a period to their days with a halter, and the husband, together with his wife and children, hanging himself, put an end to those calamities.
Right? Our people was taking themselves out. Because these people they after him. They're trying to do all these different kind of things to him. Right? They want them to work for free, and then after you work for free, you get killed. So they like, forget that. I'm not about to deal with this. I'm just gonna kill myself. All right, keep going.
Man, just looking at how the curses, boy, the Most High ain't nothing to play with, bruh. Like when he talk about his judgment, man, and he sent these weak old people, the weakest links of all people on the earth, but made them the most powerful and the most criminal mind people in the earth to destroy us that bad, to the point that where we go and kill ourselves, right? Like the Most High is like, hey, I'm gonna let y'all hang yourselves. Y'all just gonna die within yourselves because of what y'all have done to me. Like, and he's using these nations as our background whooping. Like, hey, if they don't get you, you're gonna get yourself.
Yep.
Most High don't be playing, man.
Gonna die by your own hands.
Man.
Break the commandments. You know what I'm saying? Hey, now basically you're gonna put yourself to death. Right? Whether it be you that do it or whether it be the people that are sin.
Khan. All right. By the ferocity of one Spanish tyrant whom I knew, above 200 Indians hanged themselves of their own accord, and a multitude of people perished by this kind of death.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, and ain't that no different from when we were on the transatlantic slave trade? Some of us just jumped out the boat and drowned.
Yep.
No different.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. All right. A certain person here in the same isle constituted to exercise a kind of royal power happened to have 300 Indians fall to a share, of which in 3 months, through excessive labor, 160 were destroyed, insomuch that in a short space there remained but a tenth part alive, namely 30. But when the number was doubled, they all perished at the same rate.
See that
And all
they working them that hard. They worked them to death.
mm,
Right? They worked them to death. And we're gonna see it got the number of the people at the bottom, right? Let's keep going. We almost
and look how modern day that is, right? Hey, you don't get your retirement, you don't get like right now they moved the pensions, no more pensions.
Yep.
You just got a 401k, and then now they'll work you until you get your social security around the age of 64, 67, and they consider you like, hey, that's a little bit left and you dead. Because they know if you stop working and you retire at that age, your body slowly starts shutting down when you're not taking care of your body. Mm.
Okay.
Ain't nothing new under the sun, man.
At all.
All right, so all right.
You left off at namely 30.
I'm lost. We're at let me say it.
From the bottom, it says namely 30. It's
Okay, I got you. All right. I'm gonna just start right here. And so much that in a short space there remained but a tenth part alive, namely 30. But when the number was doubled, they all perished at the same rate, and all that were bestowed upon him lost their lives, till at length he paid his last debt to nature and the devil.
Mm.
And they saying these are different. It's different Edomites. It's like you got Albania, what is it, Bosnians? Like they not the same Esau in America. Like these are the same devils, man. Just different names, man. These people on the same on the same time, bro. Man, they will travel, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Ain't no different devil. It's the same old devil. All right. In 3 or 4 months' time, I being there present, 6,000 children and upward were murdered because they had lost their parents, who labored in the mines. Nay, I was a witness of many other stupendous villainies.
Right. So this is what everything that he's seen. Right. This is everything that he's seen. He's seeing all of this happen. Right. 6,000 children murdered because their parents died working in those mines. Right. To literally bring the gold unto them. And you can't tell me these ain't the people, man.
Ain't it real hot in those mines? Like working in those mines, like
Wow.
the coal mines, all that type of stuff, man. Probably wouldn't even give them no water or nothing. Probably dying off dehydration, and some of them probably just jumped in the lava, like I'm done with this.
Okay.
All right. But afterward, they consulted how to persecute those that lay hid in the mountains, who were miserably massacred.
Right. So now they even found, remember, because it said that the ones that fled into the mountains at that time was going to be shortly lived. So now he's telling you after they did all of this, now they persecuted the ones that lay hid in the mountains. Right. So go ahead.
Who were miserably massacred, and consequently this isle made desolate, which I saw not long after, and certainly it is a dreadful and deplorable sight to behold it thus peopled and laid waste like a desert. In the year 1514, a certain unhappy governor landed on the firm land or a continent, a most bloody tyrant, destitute of all mercy and of prudence, and the instruments of God's wrath, with a resolution to people these parts with the Spaniards. And although some tyrants had touched here before him, and cruelty hurried them into the other world by several ways of slaughter, yet they came no farther than to the sea coast, where they committed prodigious thefts and robberies. But this person exceeded all that ever dwelt in other islands, though
Execrable. Yeah, execrable.
execrable and profligate villains.
Right. So it said he were the one that came now. This bloody tyrant. He's worse than the ones that was here before. Right. Let's see what he did.
For he did not only ravage and depopulate the seacoast, but buried the largest regions and most ample kingdoms in their own ruins, sending thousands to hell by his butcheries. He made incursions for many miles continuance. This is to say, in those countries that are included in the territories of Darlan and the provinces of Nicaragua, where are near 500 miles of the most fertile land in the world.
See
and
the most fertile land in the world, right? And he basically laid it waste. Right? Go ahead.
And the most opulent for gold of all the regions hitherto discovered. And although Spain has been sufficiently furnished from the purest gold, yet it was digged out of the bowels and mines of that said Salakia.
Country.
Digged out of the bowls and mines of the said countries by the Indians, where, as we have said, they perished. This ruler, with his complices, found out new inventions to rack. All right, so let me read that over. This ruler, with his complices, found out new inventions to rack, torment, force, and extort gold from the Indians. One of his captains, in a certain excursion undertaken by the command of his government to make depredations, destroyed 40,000 persons, and better exposing them to the edge of the sword, fire, dogs, and variety of torments, of all which a religious man of the order of St. Franciscus D.S. Romano, who was then present, was in the eyewitness.
Yeah, he's an eyewitness to it, right? So that's it for that, right? So let me go back. I'm gonna share my screen, right? We're gonna go back into the scriptures, and we're gonna see, because this is just the. Let me get this off the screen too. Get that off the screen, because the Bible, right? It tells you that the Most High was gonna do this, right? All through. So let's go to Hosea. And before we go there, let's read this again, verse 22.
All right, Genesis chapter 49 and verse 22. Joseph is a fruitful bough, even a fruitful bough by a well, whose branches run over the wall.
Right, so now let's go to Hosea 11. Because as we can see that they was fruitful, right? In the island of Cuba, Puerto Rico, so on and so forth, but their things was laid waste, right? Now let's see the prophecy that was against them. Right? So let's start at verse 1.
All right, this is the book of Hosea, chapter 11, verse 1. When Israel was a child, then I loved him and called my son out of Egypt. So, and as they called them, so they went from them, they sacrifice unto Baalim and burn incense to graven images.
All right, they sinned against the Most High. All right, go ahead.
I taught Ephraim also to go, taking them by their arms, but they knew not that I healed them.
All right, so I also, because not only was it the southern kingdom that was taught, but he's saying, hey, I taught the northern kingdom as well, right? But they didn't know it was me that was doing these things, and that's not literal, right? They knew, but they didn't obey, right? So this is what the Most High did because they didn't obey. Let's keep going.
I drew them with cords of a man, with bands of love, and I was to them as they that take off the yoke on their jaws, and I laid meat unto them. He shall not return into the land of Egypt, but the Assyrian shall be his king, because they refuse to return.
Right, so I sent them back into captivity again, right, into the Assyrian this time. And we know when they left from the Assyrians, where they came to what we know as Arsareth, right, to North and South America and to the Caribbean islands. This is where they came to, right? But the Most High wasn't done just because he let them go from the Assyrians, right? He sent them on this side. Hey, go get them again, because their punishment ain't over. They still being wicked. They haven't repented. They haven't did what they were supposed to do. So now these judgments are coming on to you. Remember, the curses says that they were going to pursue us, right? No matter where we are on the earth, these curses is going to pursue you till thou be destroyed. This is what he's doing. Right? Go ahead.
Verse 6, and the sword shall abide on his cities, and shall consume his branches, and devour them because of their own counsels.
Because of their own counsels, right? Black, so-called black man, you're not the only one that went through this, right? So-called African American man, let me say that, right? You're not the only one that went through these things, right? Right now, we touching on who we call Manasseh, which are the Cubans. Guess what? They went through these things, right? The sword shall abide in his cities and shall consume his branches and devour them because of their own counsels, because they wanted to do what they wanted to do. They wanted to offer incense unto their gods. They wanted to worship the constellations, right? They wanted to, as it says, that they sacrifice unto Balaam, right? And burn incense to graven images. They wanted to do these things. Right, let's get another one. Isaiah 28. And let's start at verse 1.
All right, this is the book of Isaiah, chapter 28, and verse 1. Woe to the crown of pride to the drunkards of Ephraim, whose glorious beauty is a fading flower, which are on the head of the fat valleys of them that are overcome with wine.
Mm-hmm.
Behold, the Lord have a mighty and strong one, which as a tempest of hail and a destroying storm, as a flood of mighty waters overflowing, shall cast down to the earth with the hand. The crown of pride, the drunkards of Ephraim, shall be trodden under feet.
Right, see that? And this is drunkards, plural. It has an S on here. The drunkards of Ephraim, again, that refers to all of the northern kingdom tribes. This is why I say you won't see, like, outside of maybe Genesis, and maybe like Joshua, and then like the book of Chronicles, when it's mentioning and give you a breakdown of the tribes and, you know, the sons and things of that nature. Outside of those books, you won't see the prophets mentioning Gad. You know what I'm saying? You won't see him mentioning Manasseh. This is what it is, right? They're Ephraim. Right, keep going.
And go back to 1 real quick, right? Because I want to bring some edification out of that 1 too, because, you know, a lot of people think that, you know, they always think of Ephraim. Oh man, they like to drink a lot. They like to be drunk. But let's bring some edification to that. Go to read verse 1 again.
Verse 1. It says, woe to the crown, Salakia, woe to the crown of pride, to the drunkards of Ephraim, whose glorious beauty is a fading flower. which are on the head of the fat valleys of them that are overcome with wine.
And when it means it's overcome with wine, it's talking about idolatry full of doctrines. They've been always they always been tapping in to other doctrines. When we were read in Hosea 7 that their cake, Ephraim is a cake not turned over, that is just also going into not just them mixing in with the nations and making relationships with them. This is really just following to their other gods too. You know what I'm saying? They follow over especially they follow under a lot of Esau gods. You know what I'm saying? They believe in like the Catholic churches and stuff like that. They believe in white Jesus heavily. You know what I'm saying? This is why they overcome with wine. You know what I'm saying? They definitely don't, those that woken up, they understand who they are, but those that don't, man, they heavy into Caesar Borgia, man. But I'm gonna continue to go. That's all I wanted to bring out.
You can just read verse 4.
All right, verse 4. And the glorious beauty which is on the head of the fat valley shall be a fading flower, and as the hasty fruit before the summer, which when he hath looketh upon it seeth, while it is yet in his hand, he eateth it up.
Go ahead.
In that day shall the Lord of hosts be for a crown of glory and for a diadem of beauty unto the residue of his people, and for a spirit of judgment to him that sitteth in judgment, and for strength to them that turn the battle to the gate.
All right, verse 7, and then that's it.
But they also have erred through wine.
Right, that's us. Right, that's the southern kingdom. We also did the same thing, right? I don't want to just make it seem like we jumping on the northern kingdom, right? Just got to throw us in there too. We gonna get under that, throw us under the bus, so to speak, as well, right? So go ahead.
And through strong drink are out the valley, the priests. And you know what? No, Northern Kingdom need to be under the bus, man. They get away way. Northern Kingdom. We don't really talk about the Northern Kingdom, but when we see on these videos, it be Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. They get some too, man. They Israel too, man.
Yeah.
They are brothers, man. Nah, we gotta throw them under the bus, man. It is what it is. They started this mess, so we gotta finish it.
God.
But let me start at verse 7. But they also have erred through wine, and through strong drink are out of the way. The priest and the prophet have erred through strong drink. They are swallowed up of wine. They are out of the way through strong drink. They err in vision. They stumble in judgment.
Right, and we stumble in judgment because guess what? We don't. I can actually because I meant to do this. Oh. Why I do that? Oh, I can't get this camera right. Here we go. I wanted to get that back right. Right, because we stumble in judgment as well because we seen it happen, right? And we're going to get to it, but it's some other stuff I want to pull out first, right? So we stumble in judgment. I'm gonna go to the website, right? So on this website is another book that we're gonna get into, read a few pages, right? Called The Lost Tribes, Promised Lands by Ronald Sanders, right? So I had already clicked the PDF. I don't have to, click it again. But anytime y'all want to, this is Lions of Israel website. And priests always go through it at the end of his lessons. At the end of some of his lessons, right? But right now we're gonna toggle through one of the books, right? And this is the book. So I already clicked the link already, and I already got it set on the page that I want. We're gonna start on this right hand side, right? This is actually page 363, if I'm not mistaken. Let me see if it's at the top. No, it's not at the top. So as you can see to the left, that's 362. So we're starting at page 363, right? This is where we gonna start at, and it's gonna go into some of the history as well, right? So let's go ahead with that. But
All
I'll
right.
keep that in the back of y'all minds, Isaiah 28, of how we err in judgment, right? Because we're gonna go into the New Testament to actually see how we was erring in judgment, but we're gonna pull out some more information, right? So go ahead.
All right. In September 1644, a Portuguese Maruno named Antonio de Mentezinos arrived in Amsterdam after having lived for some years in South America and proceeded to tell the leaders of the recently established Jewish community their story that caused them to think of him as a latter day Aldid the Danite. 2.5 years before, he told them while traveling in the wild mountains of Quito, he had heard some of his Indian guides remark that the natives of that country deserved all the suffering they had undergone at the hands of the Spaniards.
All right, so he's telling them that they deserved it. Why? Because they broke the Most High's commandments, right? But notice that it's a recently established Jewish community, which means hey, they started to remember who they were. They may not have it down 100%, but he wouldn't call it a Jewish community, right? If it wasn't so, if they didn't start to remember, right? So go ahead.
When he asked them to explain why they taught such a thing, they had replied mysteriously that it was because we so badly treated a holy people, the greatest in the world. Nothing more had been offered by them on this point. But later in some conversation, Francisco, one of the Indian guides, had declared that his countrymen would be avenged upon the references apparently where hold on, that's avenged upon the Spaniards and time anyway by means of a people now hidden.
Mm-hmm.
Two reference apparently were to the same people, but Montezinos, not seeing their full meaning in that moment, had put the whole matter out of mind for the time being.
All right, so he's letting them know that the Spaniards they're gonna get what's coming to them. All right, that's what he was letting them know. All right, but he didn't catch on to it. But go ahead.
Upon his return to Cartagena, the Judaizing Montezinos had found himself accused by the Inquisition and put in prison. Praying for salvation in his cell one day, he was reciting that he was reciting what was then no Salaki. He was reciting what was by then a standard formula.
All right.
Among New World Marinos, blessed in the name of the Lord, who has made him an idolater, a barbarian, a
Has not
Negro,
made.
who is not made an idolater, Salakia, a barbarian, a Negro, an Indian, when suddenly be stopped. Those Indians, he told himself, they are Hebrews.
They are what?
They are Hebrews.
See that? Go ahead.
Pondering this thought incredulously, and yet with growing conviction, he resolved that if he ever was released, he would seek out the Indian Francisco and try to learn the truth.
Mm-hmm.
Montezino's story, unclear as to the circumstances of his incarceration, is equally unclear as to those of his release. But released he was, and he immediately went to Francisco, revealing himself as a Jew. Montesinos proclaimed his conviction that Francisco's hidden people were of the same race as he. Would Francisco lead him to them?
All right, so he's saying is you gonna lead me to the same people that you're saying that they're Jews as well, right? So let's keep going.
The two men were soon back in the rugged mountains in which Francisco had made his initial revelation, marching relentlessly for a week before they finally came to a halt.
Mm-hmm.
It was a Saturday. Montesinos makes a point of telling us, and they had come to a river larger than the Diro. Are the Diro are there echoes of the Sambaton in all of this?
Right. So stop right there. Right. You can also pronounce it Sabbatime, right? They're hearing echoes of the Sabbatime, which means Sabbath, right? And they're saying that this is happened on a Saturday after they've, going through the mountains, so on and so forth. And they see and they hear these things happening, right? They're hearing people worship from afar after walking through the mountains and things of that nature, right? So just imagine a group of so-called Indians, right? And they're, whatever, they may be chanting, whatever they chanting, right? Because they don't say exactly, but they just hear these echoes, right? So go ahead.
Here, Francisco announced is where your brothers will be seen.
This is where your people was at, right? They're here keeping the Sabbath, right? Go ahead.
Waving a banner high in the air, and the Indian guide soon was greeted by a puff of smoke far beyond the other bank of the river. In response to his signal, the two men waited. Eventually, a canoe appeared bearing 3 men and a woman, all of them Indians, to the place where Francisco and Montesinos were standing at the water's edge. The woman got off and spoke to Francisco in an Indian tongue that Montesinos could not understand, although he could perceive that he was being identified in the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
She then turned to her male companions to explain the situation. Upon her words, they went over to Montesinos, and his utter astonishment said, Shema, Yesharo, Adana, Elohim, Adana.
Right. So this is what basically how we would say it. Again, this is not the original Hebrew, right? But she's saying this in Hebrew. This is Deuteronomy 6:4, right? This is that, right? The Shemai. That's what that Shema is supposed to mean. That's the Shemai, right? Yasharallah, Yahweh, right? So on and so forth. That's what this is. This is what what he heard. This is why it says to his utter astonishment, right? He couldn't believe it. He couldn't believe what he was hearing. Right? So go ahead.
All right, like it says in Deuteronomy 6:4, Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. They had recited in Hebrew the fundamental credo of Judaism.
Okay, go ahead.
A brief conversation then ensued in their common ancestral tongue. According to Montesinos, whose fluency in it is almost as perplexing to the reader of his narrative as is that of his 3 mysterious new companions. They told him that they were themselves of the tribe of Reuben, and that the tribe of Joseph lived on an island nearby.
Nearby where? Right? Nearby where? Right? This is literally let me show y'all. Right. Let's see. Because they were in South America. I wonder if it's gonna give me the whole map. Let me just click it just to see. All right. So let me try to zoom out, right? Because they were in South America where all of this is happening, right here. This is all South America, even over here, like Venezuela, Panama, so on and so forth. This is South America, right? And it says that the tribe of Joseph was on an island nearby, right? Now, these are islands nearby as well. So I'm sure is some members from the tribe of Joseph in Jamaica. I'm sure they're in Haiti, right? This is Puerto Rico, I believe, right over here, right? Dominican Republic, right? Cuba here, Havana, right? They're on an island nearby. All right, so go ahead.
The day when the day when they were at last to issue forth into the world was coming soon. They explained, but in the meantime, they could not allow visitors to cross over to them. They were willing to make an exception in the near future. However, on account of their need for education, but though they spoke Hebrew, they could not read or write it. Would Mantineos send them 12 bearded men to be their teachers?
Look at that. They even grew their beards out, right? They wasn't bald face. And we don't think you don't think this is something that's spiritual, right? Whether they had all of the commandments or not. They knew some they knew when the Sabbath was. They knew to grow their beards out, right? You seen them praising the most high in our language. But hey, no, only blacks, only African Americans are the real Israelites, right? You got to miss me with that. This information wouldn't be here if that was the case, right? Let's go to 365. It's the last page, or did we finish reading that?
I didn't finish reading it.
Go ahead.
It says, "What he said he would." The four strangers returned to their canoe, paddled back across the river, and disappeared from view. Francisco told Montesinos all he knew about these people from his own traditions. His ancestors, to their eternal shame, had indeed made war on them and persecuted them. Only the sorcerers of the tribe had perceived that they were a special people and had given warning that they should be left alone. The power of those children of Israel is the true power.
Is what?
Is the true power.
Read that whole thing, that little part again.
The power of these children of Israel is the true power.
See that? The Most High is the true power, is the true God, right, of the earth, right? And it does not even work. This ain't the scriptures, right? This is literally in the book, right, called the Lost Tribes, and it's letting you know that they even are saying, "Hey, he's definitely the God of the children of Israel, which governs the earth." Go ahead.
They have said, and everything inscribed on the tablets is true. At the end of days, they shall be lords of all the nations of the earth.
Look at that. Look, it's not only in scriptures, right? It's not only in scriptures, it's right here too. That at the end, hey, we're going to be lords over all of the nations. Go ahead.
One nation will come bringing many things to this land. And after we have all been provided for, these children of Israel will go forth from where they now are and reign over the whole earth, as they once did.
Mm-hmm.
With this final flourish, Montesinos had turned his tale of the lost tribes into a bit of propaganda for the Dutch conquest of Brazil at the same time. The story was received with enthusiasm by the Jews of Amsterdam, above all by Rabbi Manasseh ben Israel, one of the most prominent and representative men among them. The Netherlands and its Jews have both come out from under the Iberian yoke toward the end of the last century and had embraced one another in the cause of repu- repudiating it. And now that the Dutch were approaching the end of what would be called their 80 Years' War against Spain in a blaze of triumph, the Jewish community of Amsterdam, which had responded to the most tolerant religious climate in Europe by throwing off its merino cover in 1596, was emerging as the most brilliant and influential in world Jewry. Manasseh ben Israel was the son of Merino parents who had lived in Portugal, then Spain, and then in the Madeira Islands, where he had been born in 1604 under the Christian name of Manuel Diaz Sorero. From there, the family moved to La Rochelle,
Mm-hmm.
a city not far from the Madeiras by, I can't really say that, but by,
By
you see
dint,
that?
by dint of commerce.
Oh, dint. Okay, by dint of commerce as well as geography, but where the predominance of the Huguenots held out of the promise of greater religious toleration. By this time, however, it was evident that the Netherlands were the only country in northwestern Europe where one could be an openly professing Jew and still flourish.
Why? Because we understood that, like it says in the book of Maccabees, that they couldn't even, you couldn't even profess yourself at all to be a Jew in a lot of different places, right? But in this one particular place, they could, right? So go ahead.
And it was to Amsterdam that the Sorrows moved while Manuel was still a small child. There the father and his two sons underwent circumcision and changed their name officially to Ben Israel.
So where this like is that right there? So where do we see this at, right? Where do we see this at? Let's go to Isaiah 44. Because this can't just be Negro only, right? Isaiah 44, you can pick it up at verse 1. We'll read right into it.
All right, that's the book of Isaiah, chapter 44, and verse 1. Yet now hear, O Jacob, my servant, and Israel, whom I have chosen.
See that? Northern and Southern Kingdom, right? This is going to happen with both, but again, the focus is on Manasseh, which is Northern Kingdom, right? Go ahead.
Thus says the Lord that made thee, and formed thee from the womb, which will help thee. Fear not, O Jacob, my servant, and thou, Jeshurun, whom I have chosen. For I will pour water upon him that is thirsty,
Mm-hmm.
and floods upon the dry ground.
Mm-hmm.
I will pour my spirit upon thy seed, and my blessing upon thine offspring.
I'm going to give you understanding, right? This is what the Most High is saying through the prophet Isaiah. I'm going to give you understanding, right? Go ahead.
And they shall spring up as among the grass, as willows by the water courses.
Right, because this is what happens, especially during springtime. Hey, it rains, your grass grows. You can cut that thing; it's gonna grow back within 3 days. That's how potent water is to grass. This is how potent the Most High's water is to us as a people, right? So when I pour this water upon you, you're gonna spring up as among the grass, right? And then what are you gonna do once you gain understanding? Go ahead.
One shall say, I am the Lord's,
Mm-hmm.
and another shall call himself by the name of Jacob,
Mm-hmm.
and another shall subscribe with his hand unto the Lord, and surname himself by the name of Israel.
All right, so let's go back. All right, let's go back to the book. Right, read this right here. I can't highlight it out. Yeah,
There the father and his two sons underwent circumcision and changed their name officially to Ben Israel.
see that? Because they had gained understanding from the Lord, right? The water was poured out among them, right? This ain't just happened, right? Just out the blue, right? This is why we can't dismiss these people, right? Because these people are our people, right? From all of the Caribbean islands, all throughout South America, right? North America, all throughout the whole world where we've been scattered to. These are our people, right? Keep going.
A Hebrew designation so conventional as to be nearly anonymous, at least until it emerged as a virtual title for the son who became the most famous Jew of his day. Pursuing another convention, this time biblical, the father named himself Joseph and his two sons Ephraim and Manasseh. They probably had already borne all these names in secret during Merino days.
Right during Morano days where they had to kind of hide, right? So that's it, right? We don't have to keep going, right? But this is definitely, um, I'm sure it's a whole lot of information, right? But I'm pulling this out just to mainly focus on Manasseh, right? To literally also show that you had Israelites on this side knowing who they were, right? They didn't just forget who they were. They didn't just do that. This is why we can't treat them as such, right? So remember when we had just read in Isaiah, what was that, 28 and 7? Let me pull that back up. So 28 and 7, it says, but they have also erred. This is why I said we got to get under that bus with them, right? The main part I wanted is they stumble in judgment, right? We always stumble in judgment. We don't even know who our own people is, right? So let's prove that.
Hey, let me grab Hosea real quick. Hosea 1 and 7. I mean, 1 and 10. Right.
Okay. The book of Hosea, chapter 1 and verse 10. Yet the number of the children of Israel shall be as the sand of the sea.
So it ain't on like you're saying, man. I'm agreeing on top of everything you're saying, right? It ain't just only black people, only like African Americans that you think that it ain't the Northern Kingdom ain't got nothing to do with us. The Mexicans ain't got nothing, so-called Mexicans ain't got nothing to do with us. Hey, we don't make up the sand of the sea by ourselves, man. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of us, right? Because we got the same flavor and style, right? Go ahead.
Says, yet the number of the children of Israel shall be as the sand of the sea, which cannot be measured nor numbered.
So when people say that they are not our people, how can you measure that? And how can you number that? How can you prove that? Right? Go ahead.
That, Salakia, and it shall come to pass that in the place where it was said unto them, ye are not my people.
Right. So when we read this book, in this place that we read in this book in today's day, so-called 2026, we're describing a people that was said they were not a people of Israel, but we're reading that these people are the nation of Israel.
Okay.
Right? So go ahead.
Ye are where it was said unto them, ye are not my people. There it shall be said unto them, ye are the sons of the living God.
By the books, right? Because the Bible and these history books match. So when we see that they match and you see that they got our people that's not saying so-called African Americans, not saying so-called Jamaicans or so-called Haitians, we're talking about people that's on them islands as the children of Manasseh, right? The so-called Cubans. And when you look at them, like you got like boxers, right? You got certain boxers when before I was in the truth, when I used to watch certain fights, and I used to say, like, man, you look just like us. Rather it was a Cuban fighter, so-called Cuban fighter, or a Puerto Rican fighter. Right. I'll look at them, even though they spoke a different language, but I'll be like, man, he look just like us. He can be just like us, but the lack of understanding. When you don't know of the curses and you don't know that we're the children of Israel, you're gonna lack those type of understanding. But that right there shows us right there that these people are the sons of the living God.
Okay. And while you said that, I'm gonna just pull it up, right? I'm just type in Cuban people. And then go to images, right? Of course you're gonna have your Edomite, but the first thing that pops up is this. Literally. You hardly see any Edomites. For real. They look just like us. Literally. All right. Some of these pictures are a little bit of AI, but for the most part, look at this. All right. Ephraim is a cake not turned. Right.
And what they know about the hair wraps, right? You know what I'm saying? The same thing what the sisters do out here. The same kind of hair wraps. Wrap their head up.
Okay.
It's the same style.
For real. Like it's no different, man. These are your people, Israel. Right? Now they're a little questionable over here. That's a little questionable. But again, these are your people, right? We come from the dust of the ground, different shades. All right, but now let's go to the book of Acts, y'all. Let's go to the book of Acts, chapter 2. All right. So now let's see. Let's see what happened when Peter was giving them the word, right? Let's see how other people felt. Remember, the scripture said that we err in judgment, which we did, and it's shown throughout inside the scriptures, right? So let's go ahead. We can pick it up at the first verse.
It's the book of Acts, chapter 2 and verse 1. And when the day of Pentecost was fully come, they were all with one accord in one place. And suddenly there came a sound from heaven as of a rushing mighty wind, and it filled all the house where they were sitting. And there appeared unto them cloven tongues, like as of fire, and it sat upon each of them. And they were filled with the Holy Spirit, and began to speak with other tongues, as the Spirit gave them utterance.
See that? They started to speak, right? With other tongues, right? So guess what? You got to know that during this time, some spoke Greek, right? Some still spoke Hebrew, so on and so forth, right? Because and it's gonna get into it. Let me just not jump ahead of myself. Go ahead.
And they were all filled with the Holy. Oh no, verse 5. And they were dwelling at Jerusalem, Jews, devout men, out of every nation under heaven. Now, when this was noised abroad, the multitude came together and were confounded, because that every man heard them speak in his own language.
See that? Go ahead.
And they were all amazed and marveled, saying one to another, Behold, are not all these which speak Galileans?
Mm-hmm.
And how hear we every man in our own tongue wherein we were born?
All right, go ahead.
Parthians and Medes and Elamites and the dwellers in Mesopotamia and in Judea and Cappadocia, in Pontus and Asia, Phrygia and Pamphylia, in Egypt, and in the parts of Libya, about Cyrene, and strangers of Rome, Jews and proselytes, Cretes and Arabians. We do hear them speak in our tongues the wonderful works of Yahweh.
Like they saying, hey, how in the world is all these people, right, speaking in our tongue? How they speaking the wonderful works of the Most High, right? Because when you go back and do the history and you see and you go into all of these land masses, right, you'll see these are just areas that was taken over after the Northern Kingdom was put out, right? So guess what? It was still a remnant of the Northern Kingdom still there, right? So you think that they just all of them just forgot, right? That's what the multitude thought. Which the so-called Southern Kingdom. That's what they thought, right? They was like, hold on, they was confounded, they was amazed, right? Go ahead.
All right. they were all amazed and were in doubt, saying one to another, "What meaneth this?"
And then let's go to the scoffers. Go ahead.
Others mocking said, "These men are full of new wine."
Right? They making jokes. Like, man, what kind of stuff they drinking now? Right? But let's see what did Peter do?
But Peter, standing up with the 11, lifted up his voice and said unto them, "Ye men of Judea, and all ye that dwell at Jerusalem, be this known unto you, and hearken to my words. For these are not drunken, as ye suppose, seeing it is but the third hour of the day."
Like, it's only the third. It's early, right? They not drunk. Y'all, as you saying that they drunk, but I'm letting you know they not, right? But go ahead.
But this is that which was spoken by the prophet Joel. And it shall come to pass in the last days, says Yahweh, I will pour out my spirit upon all flesh, and your sons and your daughters shall prophesy, and your young men shall see visions, and your old men shall dream dreams. And on my servants and on my handmaidens I will pour out in those days of my spirit, and they shall prophesy. And I will show wonders in heaven above, and signs in the earth beneath, blood and fire and vapor of smoke. The sun shall be turned into darkness, and the moon into blood, before the great and notable day of the Lord come. And it shall come to pass that whosoever shall call on the name of the Lord shall be saved. Ye men of Israel, hear these words. Yahushua of Nazareth, a man approved of Yahweh, among you by miracles and wonders and signs, which Yahweh did by him in the midst of you, as ye yourselves also know.
Right? So he's letting them know, like, hey, these are your people. I told you that these was going to be your people, right? I told you that this was going to happen through the prophet Joel, through the prophet Isaiah, right? So on and so forth, right? And these people, they didn't like it. This is why they mocked. They made jokes, right? They didn't, man, where's the other one? I think it's Hosea. I mean, not Hosea. Chapter 4, right?
Which one?
When they kind of didn't like that he was giving them the word.
Oh, you talking about the Northern Kingdom?
Kind.
The Southern Kingdom didn't like the Northern Kingdom getting the word?
Kind.
Yeah,
I believe it's chapter 4.
You were have to go further down though.
Okay.
Because that's when they was getting jealous and angry about it. I'm not sure what chapter it is though, but I know it's a little bit further down.
That's all right. We ain't gotta.
Right, because the Southern Kingdom always thought, hey, that's why they had that beef. Why Yahushua had to be the first one to go to Samaria, to talk to the lady in the well. Why? Because the lady at the well literally said that we have no dealings with the Jews. You know what I'm saying? So that always been a thing, and with still to this day, we still have that mindset that we have no dealings with these people that don't look like us. You know what I'm saying? So that spirit and that fight is still happening. So we have, and Yahushua is the bridge. He's the bridge. He's the one brought the broken gap, and he's bridging it back together, using us, just like how he used Paul. He's using us to bring the gap, right? We're closing that gap in to make it to one bridge and not a broken bridge anymore. Did you find it?
Yeah, this is it right here.
Okay, come.
So we're gonna read like a couple verses, and then we're gonna jump down.
All right, this is the book of Acts, chapter 4, and verse 1. And as they spake unto the people, the priests and the captain of the temple and the Sadducees came upon them, being grieved that they taught the people.
Hey, they didn't like it, right? Just like these people, it's people that's not gonna like this class, right? Because We literally letting Manasseh know who you are. We letting y'all know who Manasseh is, right? This is your brother, right? So they being grieved that they taught the people. Go ahead.
Though through Yahushua, the resurrection from the dead. And they laid hands on them and put them in hold until the next day.
And they got arrested, right? They got arrested for literally teaching the truth, right? They was mad, right? So let's jump down to verse 13.
Verse 13. Now, when they saw the boldness of Peter and John and perceived that they were unlearned and ignorant men,
Hey, they called them stupid, man. Right?
they
In layman terms, they said Peter and John are stupid, right? Go ahead.
they marveled, and they took knowledge of them that they had been with Yahushua. And beholding the men which was healed standing with them, they could say nothing against it.
They jaws had to shut their mouth now. Right? So I just wanted to bring that out because it's nothing that they could say. They already knew that beforehand. They knew that Peter and John walked with Yahushua. Right? So they knew that they could say nothing against it. But guess what? They still said something against it. Why? Because they don't love their people. That's what it is. That's what it boils down to in a nutshell. They don't love their people. Right? What we got? What time is it? I guess I can play this video. Right? I'm gonna play a little bit of this video just to get some of what we brought out, and because I don't know like the pinpoint times or the talking points, but I'm gonna just play it so we can get something out. I got one more. I'm gonna go back to the scripture you actually went to. That's my closeout scripture, but it's all good. Nah, it's all good. But I'm gonna play this for a little minute, right? So let's go.
Until the lions have their own historians, the tales of the hunt will always glorify the hunter. The rhythm of Cuban life is one of intended racial unity, a chorus of "we are all Cubans," echoing through their hearts and minds. However, beneath this surface of unity, a small but growing group of educators and scholar activists are determined to bring Afro-Cuban history to the forefront of education. Esteban Morales Dominguez, in his landmark 2012 book, Race in Cuba, Essays on the Revolution and Racial Inequality, argues that without racial awareness, Afro-Cuban students cannot effectively confront stereotypes, discrimination, and racism. Dominguez and other scholars have been striving to integrate Afro-Cuban history into the Cuban education system through textbooks, classroom lessons, and the curriculum. This history, they believe, is a vital tool to awaken children and youth to their cultural heritage and identity. It is worth noting that despite the official stance on racial unity, Blacks continue to be the most discriminated group of all in Cuba. Unlike misguided people in the dominant society, we believe that the idea that studying this history threatens Cuban nationalism is false. Indeed, embracing Afro-Cuban history means recognizing Cuba as a multiracial and multicolored society. While Cuba's census identifies most citizens as white, the reality of its people reflects a spectrum of colors with deep African roots. The mestizo, or mulatto, reflect this mixed racial identity of Cuba. To further complicate this matter, people in this mixed race category, by Cuban standards, are considered white. The latest census reported that 64.3% of Cubans identified as white. Yet the visibility of Afro-Cuban culture suggests a more significant presence. However, the 2012 Cuban census reported that Black...
That's just a point to show that they always lying about their stats. They want you to believe something, but this is why the first thing when it pops up, when you type in Cuban people, we barely seen any Edomites, right? But guess what? They're going to lie with their stats.
Made up only 9.3%, and mestizos were 26.6% of the population. Many Afro-Cuban intellectuals call for a new count of people of African descent, convinced that the official figures underrepresent their true numbers. The history of Africans in Cuba dates back to the 1500s, when Spanish colonizers brought about 8,000 Africans to work on sugar plantations. By 1838, there were nearly 400,000 slaves on the island. Slavery ended in 1886, but black Cubans remained marginalized and excluded.
Right, and it was something that I left. I thought I had it in one of the pages, right, of that first book, the short destruction, right, of the Indies, right. It was also said after that they was destroyed, right. The Bartholomew guy or Bartholomew, right. He said that, hey, why don't y'all leave these people alone and go and get Africans and have them come over and work for free, right? It's literally in that book, right? If I do, whenever I do Ephraim, right, it's gonna literally, I'm probably pull that back out, but he literally said that. He literally said, how come? He like, hey, instead of messing with these people, right? There's only a few of them left. Why don't y'all go and get some Africans to come over? And who do you think those Africans were? Right? Nothing but us.
From education. Slavery in Cuba began shortly after Christopher Columbus arrived in 1492. The Spanish colonizers initially tried to enslave the indigenous Taino population, but due to high mortality rates from disease, overwork, and brutal treatment, they soon turned to importing African slaves. The sugar industry became the driving force behind the expansion of slavery in Cuba. By the 18th century, sugar plantations were flourishing, and the demand for labor increased exponentially, leading to a massive influx of African slaves. Between the 16th and 19th centuries, nearly 1 million Africans were forcibly brought to Cuba. The conditions of slavery in Cuba were harsh and inhumane. Most slaves worked on sugar plantations, enduring grueling labor from dawn until dusk. The work was physically demanding, involving planting, harvesting, and processing sugarcane. In cities, slaves worked as domestic servants, artisans, and in construction. Although urban slaves had slightly better living conditions, they were still subjected to harsh treatment and lacked freedom. Slaves lived in barracones, barracks, or bohíos, huts, which were overcrowded, poorly constructed, and lacked basic sanitation. Their diet was meager, often consisting of rice, beans, and occasional meat or fish. Physical punishment was common, with whippings, beatings, and mutilations used to enforce discipline and suppress resistance. Despite the harsh conditions, slaves resisted through various means, including work slowdowns, sabotage, escape, and organized rebellions. Despite the oppressive conditions, African slaves retained elements of their cultures, which influenced Cuban society. This included music, dance, religion, such as Santeria, a syncretic religion combining Yoruba beliefs with Catholicism, and cuisine. Slaves.
Right. We the salt of the earth. Right. We always have flavor. Right. So just because they came and they brought some of Southern Kingdom, right? Because you got to remember, when we fled into the mountains, do you really believe that that's just all Southern Kingdom? You can't believe that, right? Because again, there was remnants from the Northern Kingdom left behind. We know that definitely to be true by the woman at the well, right? She literally came from Joseph, right? Underneath one of those tribes between Ephraim and Manasseh, right? She came from one. So it's literally a woman that's from the Northern Kingdom inside of the New Testament, even when they were divorced from Israel. So guess what? They still, it's a high chance that they could have been dropped off anywhere, right? From the slave ships that came from Africa. So that don't change nothing when it comes down to how we see the 12 tribes chart. All right, a lot of people want to debate it, so on and so forth. The one thing that you can't debate is the fact that it's Israelites and all of the places that's listed on that 12 charts, plus more. Right? Plus more. But it's still used as a tool to show our people, hey, who they are. Because you're not everybody in Cuba won't be considered from the tribe of Manasseh, right? But I'm sure it's some. I call myself Judah. It's a chance that if I make it to through Judgment Day and walk through the gate, if I walked up to the gate of Judah, I might not get in that gate. Right? The angel that's guarding that gate may tell me to go somewhere else. Right? But we got to stop debating everything and realize, hey, this is a tool for us to teach our people and wake our people up. Because just like in the video, like a couple minutes ago, when he says that most people in Cuba identify themselves as white, right? Because they've been mixing and doing all of this crazy stuff. It's the same thing when it comes down to the 12 tribes. The ones that do consider themselves Cuban, they're going to say it. There's going to be some people in Cuba that say, hey, I'm African American, and this is where I come from, right? I'm Judah. They're going to say that, right? But the most important thing is for your spirit to bear witness. That's the most important part. That's what our people not focusing on, the ones that want to debate that, right? They're not focusing on the spirit, right? But this is why I went ahead to, venture and do these lessons to show who, like, hey, it's the same things. The same things we was put through in America. It's the same things that's in all of these places that's on that 12 tribes chart sign. All right, I'm going to play a couple more minutes.
Slaves tried to maintain family structures and kinship bonds despite the frequent separation through sales. They often formed tight-knit communities, providing mutual support and solidarity. Cuban laws, influenced by Spanish colonial policies, codified the treatment and rights, or lack thereof, of slaves. These laws were designed to protect slaveholders' interests and maintain control over the enslaved population. Pressure from abolitionist movements, economic shifts, and slave resistance led to gradual changes. In 1880, the Spanish government passed the Law of Free Womb, granting freedom to children born to slaves. Full emancipation was achieved in 1886. Slavery was integral to Cuba's economy, particularly in the production of sugar, which became the island's most important export. The wealth generated by the sugar industry was built on the backs of enslaved Africans, making Cuba one of the world's leading sugar producers. After emancipation, former slaves faced significant challenges, including discrimination, limited economic opportunities, and continued exploitation. Many continued to work in the sugar industry under exploitative conditions similar to slavery. The legacy of slavery has had a lasting impact on Cuban society. Racial inequality and discrimination persisted long after emancipation, affecting Afro-Cuban social, economic, and political status. The contributions of African slaves and their descendants have profoundly shaped Cuban culture, from music and dance, such as the rumba and son, to religion and cuisine. Efforts to recognize and reconcile with this dark chapter in history continue. Education, cultural initiatives, and scholarly work aim to preserve the memory of slavery and honor the resilience of those who endured it. The 1959 Cuban Revolution aimed to erase institutional racism and the color line, promising free education for all. However, poverty prevented many blacks from taking full advantage of these opportunities. Those who did manage to enter the educational system and thrive eventually became professionals by the 1980s. But the economic hardship...
Let me pause it for 1 second. I want y'all to see something real quick, because it was something else that I didn't include. It could have definitely, if I did a part 2 to this, y'all could see it. But this guy, let me go back a little bit more, right? It showed this guy first, right? Now, they make him seem like some sort of hero, right? This guy's the damn devil, right? If anybody know, you know. If not, maybe we'll teach on it one day, right? Let me fast forward it a little bit. Let me get to a spot. This guy that you don't see on this right here, right? This is Che Guevara, right? Right. He was the real power in behind what they give the credit to Castro for, right? He's the real hero, and he was murdered, right? And just from the research that I've done, it don't outright say it, but Castro set him up, right? But that's something for a different day, right? But I'm gonna keep going, right? You can see it a little bit better, right? Or at least I think that's Che. That might be Castro again, because Che Guevara also wore a hat that was similar, and he also had long hair. That may not be him, all right? Che Guevara, right? You can research him, look him up, see what he did. All right, but let's go. Let's get these last couple of minutes.
System, and Thrive eventually became professionals by the 1980s. But the economic hardships of the 1990s, following the collapse of Soviet support, disproportionately affected Black Cubans, pushing them back to the margins. The economic disparity between Afro-Cubans and whites is quite stark. 73% of scientists and technicians are white. 80% of professors at the University of Havana are white as well. These numbers hold relatively true for the rest of the country. Blacks are unemployed at double the rate of whites and comprise 85% of the prison population. Well, we are not surprised for obvious reasons. We only seek to expose truth. Let's continue. The role of art and education. Simply, there are two tracks for blacks in Cuba: those who strive to get into university and those who do not. This is quite obvious in other parts of the world, since a higher education for all intents and purposes guarantees a higher salary. However, to succeed in school, black students must work twice as hard, a sentiment shared by many blacks in the United States too. The effort to incorporate Afro-Cuban history into Cuba's educational system is not just about acknowledging the past. It's about empowering future generations. Educators and scholars believe that a comprehensive understanding of Afro-Cuban history will enable students to navigate and challenge the stereotypes and systemic discrimination they face. Integrating this history into the curriculum can foster a sense of pride and identity among Afro-Cuban students. It can also educate all Cuban students about the diverse cultural fabric of their nation, promoting a deeper understanding and appreciation of their shared heritage. As the students in Central Havana continue their
All right, so that's it, right? Just wanted to throw a little bit more history on top of what we brought out. So I'm gonna close out with this scripture. You can add anything you got right after, going back to Hosea chapter 1. Right, and let's read verse 10 and 11.
All right, that's the book of Hosea, chapter 1 and verse 10. Yet the number of the children of Israel shall be as the sand of the sea, which cannot be measured nor numbered. And it shall come to pass that in the place where it was said unto them, Ye are not my people, there it shall be said unto them, Ye are the sons of the living power.
Mm-hmm.
Then shall the children of Judah and the children of Israel be gathered together, and appoint themselves one head, and they shall come up out of the land, for great shall be the day of Jezreel.
Okay, so ain't gonna be no more arguing and fighting on who's who, where you come from, what tribe you come from, right? We're gonna be one people again, right? And we're gonna know for certain who we stem from, right? So I'm gonna land my plane there. You can add anything if you got something.
Just a precept in a way. Just get Ezekiel 37-16, and I'll leave it there. Just a little bit of precept of we all being gathered together at one people, right? So Ezekiel 37-16.
Okay. It's the book of Ezekiel, chapter 37, verse 16. Moreover, thou, son of man, take thee one stick and write upon it for Judah and for the children of Israel, his companions.
So this even prophesied what Ezekiel was talking about. You see that on our chart, that 12 tribe chart. You see that, you will see us, and you will see the northern kingdom in there, right? Because we are one people spread abroad amongst all nations. And so since we've been destroyed of one nation, that's why we forgot our inheritance. So when you forget the inheritance, you forget who your people are too. You have to take that in consideration. Just because we lost our land, just because we lost our identity of knowing who we are, or losing our language, you also forgot your neighbor. You forgot that the so-called Manasseh is the so-called Cubans is Manasseh's, is the tribe of Manasseh. You forgot that the northern kingdom is our people, right? Because we've been so destroyed. But the Most High said we're gonna put it on one stick and we're gonna write and put it all with his companions and go ahead.
Then take another stick and write upon it, for Joseph, the stick of Ephraim, and for all the house of Israel, his companions.
Right. So that's why you see the 12 tribes chart. So when you can't argue that, no matter what brothers and sisters want to say, that's not a true chart, then show me your chart, prove your chart is right, and make a history and prove the history behind your chart that these are these people that we pull up are not the chosen, but yours are. Right. So if you're going to do that, you might as well just put Esau on your chart. And you might as well put in the Africans on your chart, because what the chart has said, it matches up the history of what we've been through as a nation. Go to verse 17.
And join them one to another into one stick, and they shall become one in thy hand. And when the children of thy people shall speak unto thee, saying, wilt thou not show us what thou meanest by these?
Right. And that's what you did today. Right. You showed a video also. You showed a video of what this means. Right. And this is what we do when we out there street teaching. On that chart, we break it down. Right. So go ahead.
Say unto them, thus said the Lord God, behold, I will take the stick of Joseph, which is in thy hand of Ephraim, and the tribes of Israel his fellows, and will put them with him, even with the stick of Judah, and make them one stick, and they shall be one in mine hand.
It should be all one family in the Most High land, in Most High hand, right? Last one.
And the sticks whereon thou writest shall be in thine hand before their eyes.
So you can't argue today's class, what we seen, and say that Manasseh is not our people, because it was written, and we read it, and we have shown video before your eyes. And I just land there.
Okay. God, hey, all praise to the Most High, man. Definitely, I hope this was edifying to the people. Because again, like I said, even when we doing classes, we always edifying ourselves, because we don't know every book, we don't read every book. You know what I'm saying? But hey, when stuff is presented to us, we have to be good teachers and present it to the people, right? We can't just hold this information in for ourselves, right? So, with that, I land. Just pray all y'all brothers and sisters enjoy y'all Sabbath. Anything y'all dealing with, never let it overtake you. Always give glory and honor and thanks to the Most High, even through your trying times. So, hey, with that, I say shalom.
So, hey, let it be known about priest class tomorrow.
Go ahead, you good.
Also, Monday, check the brothers out, me, Palaya, Johanna, Ara, and then we got Tuesday, check out Sham's class, and then Wednesday you got Elder Zahab, and you got Zakaria, and then Thursday you got Micah Allah, and then Friday you see us back if it's the Most High will. Shalom, everybody.
All right, y'all. Come. Shalom.
Spacious air, reflecting the way of life under the Florida sky. Even the lobbies funnel in the great outdoors.
Chosen.
I was set apart for God's use.
Chosen.
I was set apart for God's use. Formed in His image.
Chosen. They say the chain of Shaitan is not that strong. They say his time is running out, he ain't got that long. They say murder, kill, this is not that song. Said I won't amount to nothing, they got that wrong. Cause I was set apart, and I was shown the light. And if I get the kingdom, I'll be clothed in white. 1/3 will be delivered, and the rest were blinded. Their fate is set in stone, what you ain't read the fine print? Christ is gonna give a crown to us. In the end, we'll have the nations bowing down to us, with their faces to the ground to us. It's the truth, as crazy as it sounds to us. Jacob forever rules, and we're his precious jewels. Showed us love and patience, put us above the nations. And that's the gospel. Thank God for choosing me. Bad news for you, it's really good news for me.
I was set apart for God's use.
Chosen.
I was set apart for God's use. Born in His image.
Let me tell you why. We have a different kind of shine, a different kind of mind. The rhythm's not the same, we're on a different type of time. With a different kind of pace, a different kind of race. The season's not the same, we have a different kind of taste. A different kind of salt, we are so not them. Got my sword and my shield, man, I'm so locked in. And when I came to serve Yahweh, put my whole heart in. So I can't sit calm, I'm no Martin. And that's a reach, y'all, chosen to teach y'all. Every Sabbath you can find us in the streets, y'all. Dare ya Allah, my nickname is Priest, y'all. In the gym, they say that I'm a beast, y'all. Set apart, the nations all hating me. Set a trap, they lying in wait for me. Chris Paul, they don't wanna play with me. But if you love me, I'm asking that you pray with me. Cause
I was set apart for God's use.
chosen.
I was set apart for God's use. Born in His image.
Chosen. And thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy God. The Lord thy God have chosen thee to be a special people, chosen above all people that's on the face of the earth. That's Deuteronomy 7 and 6. That's you, black and Latin man. Chosen. That's you, black and Latin woman. Yeah. And we the chosen. Chosen.